a public service announcement sponsored by Izzy Ray and the good folks at the Reynard Podcast Network.
People look at you strange saying you changed, like you worked that hard to stay the same. Like you're doing all this for a reason.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Iz, R to the EY. I used to push podcasts off the east side. Yeah, back then they would call me the best talker out of Langston, E-Ray. Fresh off the mic, staying straight to the streamers. Bass from the topics, got it shaking the speakers. Doper than the crack me with an A to the vein. Podcast heights is where I'm fucking taking the game. Is officially. Welcome to the Reynard versus the World podcast, hosted by yours truly, Izzy Reynard. Now, before we really get into this, before I let y'all into my home, y'all get settled in, take your shoes off, I need to run a few things by y'all real quick. See, this ain't my first rodeo. This is actually, I think, my third time doing this show. So this is like V3, version 3. And beyond that, I've had other shows that I've had. I've done different podcast shows dating all the way back to 2016. Probably like damn near 10 shows. For those of y'all who've been around for that length of time, first and foremost, thank you for dealing with my, stop and go ass, me who cannot settle down. But listen, this is legit. This is the final iteration. This is forever. I promise not to leave you ever again. Hopefully. But even for the people who were around, y'all probably needed a refresher. For all the new people who are listening, I'm going to give you a little rundown on what we do here on the Reynard versus the World podcast. So, a big thing for me is creating conversations that inspire thought and creativity. I don't like reporting. I'm not a journalist. I like to do things a little differently, So let me get y'all D on the whole scenario, right? So this show, it's a pretty diverse show that touches on a range of topics from sports to nerd culture, music to movies and all sorts of categories of entertainment. But instead of reporting or reviewing, I like to instead create hypothetical scenarios and inspire, like I said, creative conversations. You have these conversations and once you leave them, they get your mind moving and you start thinking of other things, other scenarios, other situations. I don't want to have the same old conversations that we've been having for decades, right? Like instead of listening to the 83rd podcast about LeBron's legacy, wouldn't you rather listen to a show that designates NBA players their hip-hop counterparts? You don't know what I'm talking about? All right, here's an example. LeBron is the Drake of the NBA. It might sound absurd to some of y'all, but when you really break it down, it makes a lot of sense. Both are extremely divisive in their respective fields, have their fair share of ardent supporters that equals their detractors who, no matter what they do, will find a way to discount their success. Is the hate warranted? In some cases, yeah, sure. But for the most part, it's just really hard for some people to admit that a corny dude always seems to keep winning no matter the circumstances. Now you're thinking about it, right? Is that a good comparison or not? I think it is, but now we're creating conversations where you want to think about, is there another rapper that better mirrors LeBron James's career in hip hop? And maybe you agree with me, but then you're like, hold up. What other rappers can I compare to NBA players? Isn't that much more fun than having the same LeBron versus Jordan debate we've been having for like a decade now? But it's not just sports. As much as I love music, I also love movies, film. So I thought of this idea about a year ago. I was watching the movie Back to the Future and I thought, man, wouldn't it have been cool if there was an established artist who did like a kick-ass soundtrack for this film? Like, not the music that was in the movie, because the music was pretty cool, but what if there was an artist who had to create the soundtrack for that film, and not necessarily that it plays in the film, but it was inspired to make the music. So I thought, what artist would probably have done the best at putting together a playlist of music that would represent Back to the Future? And I thought none other than Prince. You know, he's a guy who has created futuristic sounds all the while blending in genres from old. He was in the 80s making, you know, that techno sound, but it still had that Chuck Berry influence in it. And I thought, man, if Prince made a Back to the Future album, that would have been dope. Probably a lot better than his soundtrack for the Batman album. And then I thought, man, why stop there? What about other iconic Hollywood movies? What if artists had to make albums that were influenced by the movies? Kind of like how Jay-Z did for the American Gangster album. What if we had an artist who made an album that was inspired by Pulp Fiction? That'd be pretty dope, wouldn't it? Maybe the movie Big with Tom Hanks. That's far off, but I thought that would be another dope conversation to have. And again, we're creating conversations, right? We're creating things that you don't get to see on ESPN, that you don't get to see on these different news sites or these different platforms because they're commercial and that's what they do. And the only time they're creating conversation is when they do these dumbass hot takes that no one believes, but they just put into the stratosphere so that people can talk. That's not what I'm about. I want to create fun. I want people to feel like, man, I wish I was sitting in that room and being able to put my 2 cents into who I thought the Kobe Bryant of rap was. I mean, I could go on and on about these fresh conversational ideas that I have, but in the spirit of the title of the show, to better help you understand what this show is all about, I brought on 2 of my closest friends to present a few this or that questions that should give you a better view on my views. So with me today, I have my longtime friend Collin MacConnell, who also goes by Mac, and my good cousin Brian Perry, who also goes by Brian.
Gang, gang, gang.
What's good?
I couldn't think of 2 better guys to help me usher in this new phase of my broadcasting career. So I'm honored to have them on this inaugural episode of Reynard versus the World. Gentlemen, how's it going today?
You go ahead, Mac. You go first.
Good breakfast.
Good breakfast?
Big breakfast.
You had a big breakfast today?
I did have a big breakfast.
He did.
Brian was there.
Brian always has big breakfast.
He makes sure he does.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone who lives in Pennsylvania knows about Shady Maple.
Well, that's where y'all went?
Yep.
Knows
Wasn't
about
even
that
anybody's
PA
birthday?
lunch.
Nope.
No, listen. This is the shiestiness.
Oh, they've. Oof.
This is the shiestiness. If you live in Pennsylvania, you also know you've been hustled by an Amish person or a Mennonite person at some point in your life. So we went out to Shady Maple. They said they had buy one, get one free breakfast. So, you know, we in that line. Sat in the line for 25 minutes.
Jesus, yeah.
Get to the front of the line. Hey, man, I'm about to get this buy one, get free breakfast. Oh, sorry. Breakfast just ended. I said, wait, hold up. It's 10:30 a.m. What breakfast ends that early? Oh, well, today, breakfast ended at 10 a.m.
Yep.
So they ended breakfast early.
Only on a Monday, because it was a Monday.
No, because they had the buy one, get one free joint popping.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they ended it early, knowing like, oh, most people going to stand in this long-ass line and not get free breakfast.
And there's not a good place to eat for 5 miles in any direction.
You probably have to drive
Yeah.
like at least like 15 minutes to another restaurant. And you already waited 25 minutes in the line. So you just screwed. Like, they got us.
They finessed us.
They finessed us like
Yeah,
my man Drake
could have been in
harmonized over.
finesse.
So I picked you guys for 2 separate reasons, but they're both kind of inclusive. The first podcasting I ever did in my life was actually with Mac.
That's right. Yeah.
We had a show called Mac and the Fox
Hey.
back in 2016.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah. And to be honest, if we would have kept going, maybe we'd be somewhere. Because
Yeah.
we were doing podcasting before it was like really, really popular.
Yeah.
We just got together, I think like we were churning them out like at a high rate too, like once or twice a week.
Once a week. Yeah.
And we added Dean towards the
Dean
end.
was the alternate. Yeah.
Yank. Because
Me and-
you guys were doing
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
right?
The one way no one wants to be described, Dean was the alternate.
No, I mean you two alternated off. Oh, he's not gonna listen to this. Whatever. Fuck you, Dean. No, I love him. But yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, the episode I always remember the most is when and this also like speaks to how long ago that was, even though it's not that long ago, we're talking 6 years ago, which 6 years
yeah.
is a good amount of time, but it's not long in the history of time.
Yeah.
The episode I think we did the most thorough, because we did a 2-parter, was we reviewed the life of Pablo.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's like looking where we're at now.
Jesus Christ.
Play that now. I want to hear
Yeah, no.
Kanye is just a tortured genius.
Yeah.
No, he's misunderstood.
So yeah, so that, and then I think with Brian, who I always like to say is like my oldest friend, because I've known Brian
Love.
my entire life. I don't remember a life without Brian, us being family. We actually recently talked about this, that me and Brian have never gotten into an actual argument.
No, this is facts.
We've only ever debated. And these debates have gotten highly contested. They've been, sometimes very heated in the moment, but we never left on bad terms. So me and Brian have good, healthy debates. And I always tell people that if you're going to debate somebody, make sure it's a good, healthy debate. If somebody's just standing there in front of you and saying Jay-Z's trash, just walk away. Just walk away, because it's like that's not going to lead to a good, healthy debate. Because debates have to be, yes, you can have some feeling in it, but it has to be at some point, there has to be some facts and stats that are, involved in it.
Or shared, what would you say? Shared
Common ground.
Common ground.
Like from a point, like you said, like if you're saying Jay-Z's garbage, we obviously do not have the same level of quality of taste.
Yeah.
Of hip hop at that
Right,
point.
yeah.
Well, you just gotta say, hey, God bless. You believe whatever you want. That's fine. I'm gonna believe what I believe.
Yeah, so I've loved debating over the years with you guys. We've been part of some pretty legendary debates, just us three, even outside with the friends group. There's been heated ones where it seemed like, friendships were going to end. There's been, mild-mannered ones that were just funny, but we're all laughing together. So debates, I think they're essential to the culture of any culture. Has like, debating is like a pillar of it. And, you even go back to like in history, that's like scholars,
Socrates,
like,
and Aristotle and all that.
They're like literally debating what is life. Their debates were a lot more important than what ours are, but they were debating nonetheless. So in the spirit of the title of the show, Reynard versus the world, I thought it would be a good idea to do this or that. Cats versus dogs. That's like the most simple way I can put it. So jelly versus peanut butter, stuff like that. And I think that it would give my listeners a good idea of what the content of the show will be, because I know you guys know me. So you guys would ask me questions that are pertinent to me. And a lot of this show will be my views. And I like to create conversations. And that's what we're going to do here. So without further ado, Brian, Mac, hit me.
I do just want to say, I'm pretty sure that's what Jada Pinkett Smith says every time she starts the Red Table Talk. She wants to create conversations. I just want to let you know just where you're starting from.
Okay.
Since you started it, we were given 20 questions to try to come up with. 20 was
Right.
a lot.
10 apiece.
20 was a lot.
20 was a lot. So the last one, the 20th one, was R.I.P. to my man Wally. Cats versus dogs.
Easy dogs. And obviously I'll kind of explain, and then I'll even give you guys a little bit of opportunity to, maybe we could have like some tiebreakers here or whatnot. Dogs are just more fun. Here's what I will say. A dog knows that you're the owner, and they're appreciative of like, you feed me, you take me on walks, you play catch with me. I am in the strongest belief that cats think they're the owner.
Dang.
I like cats, but cats are assholes. Cats also, if we're like arguing like which one is the better animal in like the hierarchy of like, the animal kingdom, maybe I would go cats, but I'm assuming we're talking about pets. Cats are like people in that this cat can be cool, this cat can be an asshole, this cat can be lazy, this cat could like have like kitty Tourette's. For the most part, dogs have two personalities. You have dogs that are, if they have good owners, they're good dogs. If you have dogs that are bad owners, they're bad dogs. They're very much one-track minded. I love dogs. There's a reason why they're called man's best friend. You can go on adventures with dogs. I always tell myself that if I'm not married by the age of 40, I'm getting a dog and I'm going up in the woods, man. That's it. Calling it a day. Not doing that with a fucking cat. The only thing that cats have over dogs, there's one thing: that they go to the bathroom by themselves. I appreciate that.
True.
You know what's interesting about cats, as you were saying that, you're talking about throughout history earlier in the podcast. Cats don't have a lot of variation. They're really just different sizes of predators.
For real, yeah.
So like if you have your cat, if your cat sees a mouse in the house, it's chasing, it's trying to eat it, bugs, whatever, trying to eat it.
Yeah.
You see a bobcat in the forest, a bobcat's going to try to eat smaller mammals. You see a lion's going to eat whatever a lion want to eat. However, dogs have been herding dogs. Some dogs are like trained to be domestic animals or like special needs animals, or dogs have a lot of utility. Cats really throughout history they've just kind of eaten whatever they could.
They do their own shit.
And been subservient to whatever they couldn't.
Yeah.
I like both, but it's definitely dogs over cats.
Collin, you got to go next.
I mean, for me, it's a similar conversation to favorite sport to watch. They're different, and that's what I appreciate about both of them. On the one hand, this is the key thing. Dogs will always love you and always like show you affection constantly. Sometimes that can get annoying. But it is reliable, and this is why it's they're support animals, not only physically but mentally. Whereas cats, yeah, sure, they might be distant. They might like not want to be pets sometimes. They might just like glare at you, and you're like, does it want to kill me or not? But then there are times when out of nowhere it'll just come up and curl up on your lap, and then you'll go, oh my god, aw, and then you'll pet it.
So you got cats over dogs?
No, I say I know this is corny, but I'm not going to choose preferences.
I have a dog, so I'm just gonna vote dogs. You already know. But Colin's right; they are really annoying because of how clingy they get. I got a Happy Meal the other day, right? So I had 4 nuggets. Sometimes you're a little hungry, you're not all the way hungry. So I got the little 4 nuggets. I got the little fries. They're trying to fight obesity in America right now.
Yep,
a losing fight.
Yeah,
but they're
very
fighting
much
it.
so.
So they put apple slices in there. I had my dog. He came up to me for food, a nugget, a fry.
Why did you get a Happy Meal?
I just told you. Sometimes you're kind of hungry, but you're not like fully hungry.
All I think about is that episode of Atlanta. I think it's the first episode.
Yeah, it's literally the first episode.
Where she's like, you don't have a kid with you. And he's like, who says you have to have a kid to have a Happy Meal?
Plus, McDonald's toys have come around low key. They have Super Mario Brother toys right now, and I was thinking I'm making a cool little Nintendo figure. I got literally some kind of weird ghost thing that I'm pretty sure they made up for the movie. I've never seen that before in a Mario game.
It's not a boo?
It's not a boo. No,
Oh.
I don't know. It's like a blue ghost flame looking thing. I haven't seen it before in any game that I've played.
Doesn't
But,
sound familiar.
Could be from Luigi's Mansion.
No, maybe.
Oh, maybe. Because there is a scene like that, I think, in the trailer that I saw. But anyhow, so they put apple slices in there. So I gave the dog the apple slice.
Can your dog have apples?
My fiance said he could. If Peter's listening, he couldn't. I don't know about that. So I gave him the apple slice. And he, instead of like eating it, he starts to play with it. So he literally is tossing the apple slice up in the air all over the place. And he throws the apple slice from his mouth to my face. And I'm just like, bro, seriously? So yes, I actually will also vote dogs, but they can be annoying.
All right, what's next on the list?
Okay, so this is the first one that I came up with.
Okay.
I think this, I mean, you're a musician. I think you'll appreciate this. 90s or 2000s hip-hop / R&B? Which decade you got for hip-hop and R&B?
That's tough because I do think that, like, a lot of people herald the 90s as like the golden era of hip-hop. And I do think, like, lyrically, like, that's probably like the height of hip-hop. But sometimes you listen to that and you're like, man, these beats really don't age well. And they're very like stripped down, and sometimes when I'm listening to some like P Diddy stuff, I'm like, man, this is like too much glitz, and it's a lot of bullshit. And then even though I love 90s hip hop, you're really only getting, for the most part, you're only getting one thing. It's like we got burgers. Then you get to the 2000s, and yes, it gets a little more diluted with like sugar, but there's a little more variety. I didn't realize till a couple of years ago how much I appreciate Nelly. And it's like, I think like Nelly's essential to hip hop history. And it's like, that's really, I'm going to roll with the 90s because the later part of the 2000s is probably like the worst era of hip hop ever.
2000s, what is it? 2006 or 2007 might be the worst year.
Yeah, like
in hip hop.
The later 2000s going into the early 2010s, it's pretty much like, it almost felt like there was an evacuation. Like all of the bigger good names like Jay-Z, Eminem, Nas, they kind of just like forsake hip hop. And then so we were stuck with like
Flow Rider.
you had like that's what started popping
Yeah.
up. Like you did have your Waynes and you did have your Kanyes, but we still didn't have the Kendricks, the Coles, the Drakes yet. So it was like very small. Like it's kind of weird to think when like T.I. was like one of the most important figures at that time. Now I love T.I.,
Yeah.
but T.I. should not be carrying the load for hip hop.
I think you got the internet too, the beginning of the internet.
Yeah.
That was sea change for a lot of things, but that kind of pops off at that time. Cell phones as well, ringtone rap.
Ringtone rap, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I always tell people there's a lot of subgenres in rap. There's gangster rap, there's horrorcore, there's conscious rap, backpack rap. The worst subgenre of hip hop in history is easily snap rap.
Oh, Jesus.
Like
yeah.
the Soulja Boy, OJ the Juice Man, for them franchise boys. The beats are fucking terrible.
Hey,
Like
babe.
yeah, like they sound like they were made on your phone, like
yeah.
an app that you can get today on Android or an Apple phone. They are fucking atrocious. The lyrics, there's no lyrics, and I know that's not the goal of that music. It was like there was so many one hit wonders. It was terrible. So because of that, I'm gonna lean with the 90s because the 90s, it has Biggie, it has Pac, it has Jay, it has Dre, Ice Cube. It has a lot of legends. It's kind of like the decade where hip hop built its foundation. So I'm gonna have to go with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
But I did
Baby.
real quick. I do still have like a somewhat of a soft spot in my heart for the 2000s because that's when I became a hip hop fan
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's my age.
Yeah.
So like the 50 Cent era, that's when I became Dipset and all that. That's when I became a hip hop fan. So I have a soft spot, but looking at it retrospectively, 90s is better.
Speaking of Baby, if you were wondering how Hurricane Chris aged,
Oh, isn't he in jail for murder?
he is second-degree murder. The answer is not well. The braids are falling out, it looks like. The hairline's receding a little
Oh,
bit.
Lord.
Oh man.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Ooh, not a good look at all.
All right, what we got next?
We gotta go back and forth, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Sticking on the topic of music. Two of the greatest producers of all time,
Oh, I like this one.
Dr. Dre or Pharrell.
Dr. Dre.
Ooh, that was fast. Izzy, I don't know.
Here's what I'll say about Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre is easily the most impactful, influential hip hop figure in hip hop history today. Now, maybe there will be other guys who haven't had the time to see their impact on the game and the genre quite the way that Dr. Dre has, but it's like he assembled, like I always say, like he's Thanos. He has like all the stones. He brought us Snoop. He brought us M. He helped bring us 50. He helped bring us Kendrick. He revitalized Pac's career. Death Row, NWA, like pretty much gangster rap and hip hop rap are because of him. He created a sound that is now still utilized today. Even when you think of things like beats, like that is like the number one way that like most people listen to music nowadays, like the headphone brand.
Apple Music.
Apple Music, pretty much Interscope was built on his back. Him and Jimmy Iovine, it's like that's their Interscope.
Yeah.
So even like the non Aftermath artists that are on Interscope, it's kind of because Dre and Jimmy built that together. As a producer, it's closer. Like, and we're talking about like producing beats. I think that the Neptunes, and that's the thing too. People say Pharrell, but you have to say the Neptunes because there's a reason why Chad is there. Like, if Chad did nothing, then he wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So Chad, he is he's in the background, but he's definitely contributing. One of the things I like about the Neptunes is their beats are really fucking good. And it's a Neptunes beat, but it never sounds like you're like, well, that's a Neptunes beat. I know because they keep doing the same shit. It's like, I don't know what it is. I know they like to use like guitars and like congos and like, it sounds like live instrumentation. In the modern era, I mean, there's not many people that would beat Pharrell in a verses.
He has longevity over Dre, I think you can say.
As a straight producer,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yes. Like actually producing music content. It's really close in terms of that, but if we're talking about like who they are and what they mean to hip hop, I'm going Dre over Pharrell. But if we're talking about the music that they produced, it's really fucking close. Because the one thing too I have to say is Dre, like early in his career, he produced like 3 classic albums back to back to back. Straight Outta Compton, The Chronic, Doggy Style.
Yeah.
And like The Chronic, a lot of people argue that might be one of the best, if not the best hip hop album of all time. And it's like hard for me to argue that it's not.
Yeah.
You know, I just listen to it now and I'm like, this guy really like, he became the first hip hop composer. There's songs on an album that he's not on.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, he's like fucking Quincy Jones of rap.
True.
So I would give it to Dre because he's fucking Dre. I mean, you basically saw what Dre would do in a versus. It was the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a Dre versus. It's like anybody who would ever consider wanting to do a versus with me, this is what it would be. Don't fuck with me. Yeah. But I do love me some Neptunes and Pharrell.
Yeah, I'll lean the other way. So I would go Pharrell personally, only because of something that you mentioned, but I'll kind of expand upon. Dr. Dre has a sound, you know, that West Coast sound. And with Eminem, he broke that a little bit in terms of like some of the beats that he produced for him. But when you look at Pharrell and some of the beats that he's produced over time, some of the artists that he's worked with, he's done pop songs, you know, even some of the stuff that he's done with, as light as it sounds, with Despicable Me, he made Happy a hit song, you know, just hitting different genres and being able to go with different sounds. You know, that versatility makes me lean Pharrell.
He's in my top 5 all time.
Plus, every time I hear that snoo, I'm like, oh, hold on.
I also I've said this a million times. The Neptunes have mastered making fire. They're like what is like a famous minimalist painter? I'm not very familiar with art and that like visual art. Well, like whatever you call that type of art, like painting, the Neptunes are like the king of that. Like you have like Drop It Like It's Hot, grinding. They can take like 3 instruments and make a fire ass beat.
Yeah. I'd probably lean towards Pharrell. I have more songs of Pharrell's that I really love. And to speak to Brian's point, there is a song off of, I think it's on the bonus disc. I actually heard this on Frank Ocean, his Blonded Radio. Speaking of Apple Music, back when that was about music. I think he just interviews weirdos now. But it's from the bonus disc of Miley's rap album. Remember that one?
Bangers.
Oh, God.
Yes. But it's called Rooting for My Baby, and it's like a country kind of like song. And I never checked who produced it until recently. And I was like, that's Pharrell. He is incredibly versatile.
Oh, he did Justin. He did Britney.
Yeah,
You know, Brian's gonna know this. You mentioned Despicable Me. He also produced the soundtrack for the SpongeBob 2 movie. There's some fire on there too.
Fire.
There's some fire on there too.
Straight bangers.
This a song called "Squeeze Me"? Squeeze me till I pop. That joint on fire, bro. Yeah, it's fire.
That might be TVAMA. We can't be doing
Yeah, I know,
till I
right?
pop no more.
Damn.
All right, what's next?
Okay, what do I want to do? Here, you should do this one next because you came up with that.
All right, say less.
Oh, here, it's my turn.
Okay, go do your thing.
So I'm gonna set the. This actually is perfect because this is the first time at your apartment, and when I looked at your coffee table, you had 3 books. One of which is Eminem, your favorite rapper, of course, and then on either side, flanking it, were the 2 subjects of this question. So, Brady or Kobe?
It's like as my favorite athlete.
Yes.
Tom Brady's obviously the greater athlete, not like pure physical skill. Like, you know, for the most part, usually basketball players are usually more athletically inclined than football players. But what Tom Brady has accomplished in his career is unrivaled pretty much in damn near every sport. He plays in probably the most competitive sport in the entire world and somehow has still won 7 Super Bowls on 2 different teams.
Yeah, that's insane.
He's 45 years old. He just set the record for the most completions in one season. In a season that his team went 8-9. You know, so it's like even when I watch the Bucks now, I'm like, Brady's not Brady anymore, but he's still probably like a fucking top 10 quarterback, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
At his age, you know, and having to deal with like, I think people underrate like this dude's going through a divorce, and like I remember when I've gone through breakups, I'm not like hopping in the studio and like about to drop some fire.
Yeah.
Like that's distracting.
You probably should have. You could have made a Drake album off of that.
There you go. Yeah.
That's true. But like, you know, it's when I went through some of my heartbreaks, it was hard to go to work. And,
Yeah.
and football is his work. But I like Kobe more because the one thing that about Tom Brady for me that always felt like a disconnect, I feel like his life is football.
Mm-hmm.
And like Kobe obviously has like basketball was his life, but Kobe seemed like a person. He seemed like somebody who had a personality, somebody who, you know, I would like to talk to and have dinner with. Tom Brady, he's a machine. And maybe that's why he's so good. But like there are some like videos that I've watched where Tom Brady does have like a good sense of humor and he does seem like a cool guy, but I don't know. It's just like football is so much of his life. He lost his wife.
He chose football over his family.
Yeah, like I love the memes where like this motherfucker thinks he's Goku.
If he was Liam Neeson in Taken, and if they called him on Sunday, we've taken your wife and children, he'd be like,
Damn.
all right, I'll see you tomorrow, bro. Let me play this game real quick.
I have an extreme set of skills for the gridiron.
Yeah.
You'll have to help yourself. Nah, and I just love like the Mamba mentality was like something that I actually like applied to myself, like in trying to like motivate myself. Kobe was my first favorite athlete. Before I even liked sports, I liked Kobe. Mm-hmm. You know, him and Shaq on the Lakers, I thought, you know, what kid doesn't like Shaq? You know, back in the day, you know. Kazam is probably a shitty movie, but we liked it.
Loved it.
You know, Shaq Fu. I played that video game.
I bought the new one. It was really bad.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I've always loved Kobe. Watching his career, one of my biggest regrets in life is that I never seen Kobe play live. I remember watching the 60-point game, something that we actually talked about on the podcast that we did. Yeah, it's Kobe for me. I always felt like an actual connection to him. Obviously, I don't know him, but I don't know. Kobe was he just seemed like a cool ass dude. Somebody that you could look up to. I'm not saying you can't look up to Tom Brady, but it's just like Tom Brady can be a little vanilla sometimes. And
Kind of distant.
Yeah, I love watching Tom Brady play is, you know, especially like when his team's down, like a lot of you're an Eagles fan, and you know, when we played in that second Super Bowl, when Tom Brady had the ball, you were probably thinking we're gonna lose this fucking game.
Yeah. I thought it was the Terminator.
Yeah, right.
Like, coming
Until
on the
Brandon
field.
Graham
Yeah.
got that strip sack. But that's just how you feel when Tom Brady possesses the ball. I mean, even last year when they lost against the Rams, you know, so I love watching Tom Brady play. I probably like watching him play more than I liked Kobe playing because as much as like over the years I've had to admit like, yeah, Kobe's not like, he's not like some better than a lot of these other guys where Tom Brady is probably number one. I've had to admit like, you know, Kobe, you know, kind of like fucked up his own career with some of his own shit. But I also think that Kobe was deeply flawed and that's why I liked him too. Because it's like Tom Brady, what can we fucking nitpick about you on? Like even the divorce, we don't know anything. Maybe it's fucking Giselle's fault. Like we don't fucking know. And it's just like, I think to some extent, I think that's why a lot of people don't like Tom Brady because there's nothing that they can truly say about him. And so they're just like, I just fucking hate his face because he's just like perfect.
Odds are he's beating your team in some kind of meaningful game.
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna choose Kobe. That is a very hard one. You guys got some good ones.
I was going to say, I think me and Collin are both going to pass. I'm a fan of the Dallas Mavericks. Kobe's bounced us out of playoffs and whooped us in the regular season on multiple occasions.
I've heard you say more bad things about Kobe than Tom Brady, though.
I love Shaq. So, you know, he betrayed Shaq.
Okay.
Tom Brady's probably going to beat my team this coming Monday. I'm a Cowboys fan and the Bucks player, so I'm just going to pass. I ain't going to talk no ill will on both of them dudes.
All right, what we got?
Okay. As we speak right now, you and I are both wearing Nike gear.
Yes, we are.
We are both lovers of Jordan.
We are.
But if you had to choose to wear all Jordan attire, T-shirts, hoodies, hats, sneakers, for everything, which means you're going out, you got to wear Jordan. You're running, you got to wear Jordan. You know, Jordan don't got no good running sneakers. You're balling, you got to wear Jordans. Everyone hates somebody that balls in Jordans. Or Nike. And you got to think, so
Ooh.
Nike's going to have better running shoes. Nike's going to have better, like, casual shoes.
I'm going to go Nike.
That's what I was thinking. But
I'm going to go Nike because Jordan only has one good thing. Nike has other good things. And it's not like you're saying, man, ankles up, I'm going to be good, but my feet are going to suck. They have Air Maxes. They have Air Force Ones. They have Dunks. So I'm going to go. I mean, I do love it. My favorite streetwear shoe is Jordan. But I'm definitely going to go, if I could have to wear one or the other from head to toe, it's definitely going to be Nike. Because if you step out the house in all Jordan, you're getting made fun of. That or you're Mexican. Like, yeah.
I don't know if you have an opinion on this one, Collin.
I do. Oh, well, I'd say Nike too. Honestly,
have
I
you
don't
ever worn a Jordan?
No.
That's what I'm getting you a Jordan one day.
Ooh.
They got to be all black,
You
but
gotta be
Yeah.
all black.
I'll get you a pair of Jordans one day.
I wouldn't be able to wear jeans. I like wearing jeans, so that's kind of sucks either way.
They have some low tops.
Really?
Yeah, they have low tops. Not all of them are fire, but
I'd go Jordan personally, but I would avoid Zion's brand at all costs. It looks like a little kid brand.
for sure. Hold up. So you would pick Jordan head to toe?
I would wear Jordan head to toe, but you also got to think.
You're not balling ever again. Well, actually,
I'm,
no.
I'm a Perry.
That's bullshit.
I'm super flashy.
The 30-somethings are actually pretty good ball shoes.
Yeah, you could wear them, but the thing is, I'm definitely getting clowned because my game isn't that great. So, like, when I show up to
yeah.
Jordan, they're going to be like, oh, Jordan head to toe? Oh, this guy. They're going to be going hard.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they're going to try to catch me in one of those YouTube clips where somebody dunks on me or somebody breaks my ankles.
Yeah.
Damn.
And then it's going to have, like, that big pointed arrow, fraud alert. And it's going to make that, like, buzzing sound. You know, like, I'm definitely going to be a target. But, you know, hey, listen, I'm bombastic. I'm wearing a Nike yoga hoodie right now. Super comfy.
Breathable, I imagine. Just,
Breathable.
Yeah.
It has these really cool thumb splits.
Okay.
Wish we had video right now. But let me tell you, it's definitely comfy. But
If anybody tries to rob you, you're like, no, motherfucker.
ooh,
I'm taking my
what?
jacket.
Right off of that, I'm gonna change back to Nike because you getting robbed. You go out in all Jordan gear all the time. You definitely getting robbed.
Yeah. Niggas literally get killed over Jordans.
Goddamn.
I never heard somebody getting killed over Air Maxes.
I'm waiting for that Netflix show.
Okay, I have a good sports one. I'm going to save that for a second because I want to diversify here. Actually, this might be the only video game one on the list. This was suggested by Brian because he knows you. You don't play video games much anymore.
Nah, man. But once my mom stopped buying me them,
So this is from your childhood,
okay.
according to Brian. Crash Bandicoot or Donkey Kong?
Damn.
You see, America, he didn't answer that one quick.
Oh man, because it's like Donkey Kong was the foundation of my gaming. Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people think I'm dirt old. I'm not talking about Donkey Kong with Mario. Donkey Kong Country was the foundation of my gaming. Super NES. I also believe that in my opinion, and it's not my opinion because it's not true. It's preference. My favorite soundtracks are from the Donkey Kong Country video game.
Jake agrees.
Yeah, Six God.
They are great. Fantastic music. Donkey, I don't know if you know who Donkey is. YouTuber. He recently made a series of videos about the Donkey Kong Country games.
You got to put me on.
And he really he talked about the music most of the time. That music is fucking insane.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But Crash Bandicoot probably established me as a gamer because it was the PlayStation, the first one. That's where I really started like feeling like I was a gamer. Crash Bandicoot 2 was the first one I played. I think that was called Cortex Strikes Back.
And the third one is the Wrath of Cortex.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was Warped.
Yeah, it is warped. It's warped. Yeah.
3 is.
So then is the second one the Wrath of Cortex?
It is, yeah. 2,
Wrath of
yeah,
Cortex.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those games, damn. And it's like that's the first time you're playing a game that's not side-scrolling platforming. And you're like, I remember the first time I played Crash Bandicoot was actually, PlayStation used to have the demo disc.
Yep.
And I played the level where you're running from the boulder, like on some Indiana Jones
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that was fucking amazing. And I played that little demo probably dozens upon dozens of times. Damn, and it's funny because I recently revisited both. I recently played and beat the Insane trilogy front to back. And I recently beat Donkey Kong Country 1 front to back.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hard game.
Yes. I'm gonna lean Crash Bandicoot, which to me is I'm like shocked in myself for picking that.
I thought you were going Donkey Kong.
I think that the Crash Bandicoot games are. I can't say they're better.
No, I wouldn't say they're better.
They're
Both very good. I mean,
I just think I felt like a better connection to Crash Bandicoot. Like when I was a kid, I wanted Crash Bandicoot toys. I wanted like Brian had a Crash Bandicoot stuffed animal. I was so fucking pissed and jealous. And then he got a spiral one on top of that. I was like, yo, fuck this dude. I think I'm going to go to Crash Bandicoot because I feel like Crash Bandicoot might be the game that's responsible for making me, for a time, a gamer. But I do fucking love Donkey Kong Country. Like if I had to make a top 10, those are definitely both of my top 10. Crash Bandicoot 2 and then probably Donkey Kong Country 2, which doesn't even have Donkey Kong in it.
Yeah, Diddy Kong, right?
It's Diddy and Dixie.
Yeah.
it's really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a preference. I don't know if you've played Donkey Kong.
I haven't played much of either. So I can't.
You're not a platform guy, right?
No,
Really?
I'm not. No,
Okay.
never.
It's difficult. I would go Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong.
Really? I expected you to go the other way.
You know the
Because you
thing-
got into Donkey Kong later, right?
No, so the guy who used to babysit us had Donkey Kong, and it was always too hard for me to play.
They are hard.
when I was younger. So I had to play it when it was on Game Boy Color. So I played it then when it was on Game Boy Color. And I still don't think I really beat it, to be honest with you, at that time, because I got to think. But either way, I was never a huge Nintendo guy growing up. I played Pokemon. I played Donkey Kong, and that's pretty much it. I didn't play too many of the Mario platformers. I didn't play too many Zelda games. But I was always super jealous of the fact that they had Donkey Kong because it's a franchise they have kind of like dismissed. They've made two of the new ones, and they've barely made them. They haven't made one since
2014 maybe.
So it's been a lot of years, and a lot of people. It was critically acclaimed, but it's not a high selling franchise like those other ones are,
Which is crazy.
which is kind of ridiculous.
Well, and that was Rare that developed the country games, and it was Retro that developed the two new ones. So it's like they don't put their own people on it. They outsource it.
And now, so with Crash Bandicoot, you can buy the Crash Bandicoot games on sale. I would recommend it highly. Donkey Kong Country is still, our Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is still $60.
Wow.
Donkey Kong Returns is still $60.
Yeah, it's
so
Nintendo.
I want to get in, I want to jump in, but I'm like, dang, like my man Izzy said, it's a recession, my man. It joint hits hard.
Yeah.
I do think if I had to pick one for Collin to enjoy, I think he would enjoy the Crash Bandicoot games more.
Yeah, especially since they're remastered.
Yeah, and if you're not a big fan of platforming, there are certain elements that aren't like super platformy. Like it doesn't have like the difficult like time jumping shit that like a Donkey Kong or a Super Mario has.
Right.
You can enjoy it more, and they're like racing levels and stuff like that.
I would also say if you play the original Crash, it wasn't because graphics at that time weren't what they are now. It wasn't visually crisp because of the art style that they went with compared to Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
So if you had to play the old ones, I would say play Donkey Kong because Crash was difficult, the first one, and there's some platforms that aren't very crisp. Like sometimes you don't see what you're doing.
Donkey Kong still looks amazing to
Donkey
today.
Kong's art style is still fire.
Yeah. Okay. The one at the top, I was thinking because you came up with that too. You came with the second part of it.
I see you.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some athletes and some things that you love. And a lot of this list have been things that you love.
Mm-hmm.
There's also things that you hate.
Mm-hmm.
Athletes that you hate.
Mm-hmm.
2023, let's say, hypothetically, you have Eli Manning coming back. You got James Harden still playing the NBA, still doing his thing.
Hell yeah.
You'd have to see one of them win a championship. Both of these athletes, I know you have hatred for, as do I. Which of these two athletes would you want to see succeed?
I need to interject and say, I really hope James Harden wins a championship this year on the Philadelphia 76ers.
My answer is going to be based on spite. Eli Manning robbed me of one of the greatest moments of my life, beating the Patriots in route to the 18-1 season. And then when he beat us a second time, I don't know why, but that one actually hurt more because I felt like I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this can't happen fucking again. Like, also that team, the second Giants team wasn't as good
Yeah.
as the first one. They didn't have Michael Strahan anymore. It didn't make sense how they were there in the first place. They got that was probably the luckiest I've ever seen a team get to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they beat us by luck. Getting to the Super Bowl. I don't know if you guys remembered, they had that 49ers kick returner who muffed 2.
Yeah.
And the one like barely grazed his knee. And they were like, people were like shit on him because like he shouldn't have been next to it anyway. And it was like an overtime or something.
Yep.
That was probably the luckiest path I've ever seen a team get to a Super Bowl. I remember Aaron Rodgers, they were 15-1. He just like shit the bed.
Yeah, real rusty, that Packers team when they faced them. Yeah.
And it was like crazy because that was their defending champion year. And he came out and he just they shit the bed.
Yeah. Well, I think that they rested their starters the last week.
Yeah, they didn't play for like 3 weeks.
And then they had the first round bye. And before that, they had rested some guys. So like you're saying, a lot of them were rusty.
Yeah. I don't remember who else they played on, but I remember those 2 games specifically.
Oh God, that was the one where the Falcons. That was the first game, the wild card game, and the Falcons only scored 2 points. The Falcons only scored a safety.
Oh God,
abysmal football game.
Was the Giants division winners that year?
Yes,
They got 10-6,
at
right?
9-7. I think.
9-7.
Yeah,
God.
and they had a negative point differential, if I remember correctly.
So that's why that one hurt more because they were a worse team.
Yeah,
And the Patriots, I believe they were like, their usual 13-3. It's not like it was the best Patriots team. It was actually probably the worst Patriot teams to ever be in a Super Bowl as well.
Yeah.
That one and then like, I don't know. I also think Eli Manning played better in that second game. Like he actually had some dimes, like that one to Mario Manningham.
Woo!
Yeah, Jesus.
Dime. The David Tyree one's luck.
Yeah,
And I hate watching that play because I'm like, look at all this holding that's going on. You had fucking before that, Asante
Samuel
dropped the same pick that he had against McNabb. He already has his championships. Fuck him. I like the Mannings as people.
They're great on Monday Night Football.
James Harden. It's for me, James Harden not succeeding because I want to be right about James Harden. Because I am right to this point in my life saying that James Harden does not play winning basketball. And if he finally wins, I cannot have that over him.
Yeah.
And so like I don't want that to happen because and it's not like, again, I don't dislike James Harden as a person. I've actually remembered that he used to have like these commercials for like Foot Locker that were very funny. Do you guys remember when he was singing?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not playing no more. I'm gonna sing now. And he was like singing about his beard. I actually used to like James Harden until he was on the Rockets, and it was just a style of play. Like, and it wasn't even like the traveling. It wasn't even like the flopping. It was the stoppage of the game. Like he's getting to the line like 10 times a game, and so it's like we're stopping the game 10 times just for you.
Yeah.
It's very boring to watch.
Yeah.
And then just watching someone dribble the shit out of the ball. Now I know a lot of people will say you like Luka, and Luka does the same thing. When we get to the playoffs, Luka's numbers go up. James Harden's numbers go down.
Yeah.
And he's just choked a lot. So out of spite, I would not want to see James Harden ever win anything. Sorry, Collin.
I hope
and
you're
honestly,
wrong.
there's a lot of rumors that he wants to go back to Houston.
Yeah.
That's not a guy you want on your team. There's nothing in Houston. Houston is the worst team in the league right now. It's like he so bad wants to be at the strip clubs and eating the fried chicken and doing all the things that he fucking likes to do, that he rather leave one of the best players in the league with Embiid to go fucking play with trash.
Yeah.
The guy's not a winner.
Yeah. Well, you heard Colin's answer. He'd be rooting for James Harden, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so
As long as he's on the Sixers.
as long as he's on the Sixers, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so it's not a discussion for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, this is the one I was talking about before. Yeah, you can only keep one. Butler's pick or 28-3. You lucky devil.
Yeah, right.
I actually had tears in my eyes when Javon Curse caught that ball. I think his name is Javon Curse, right? His last name is Curse. I'm the guy who caught the ball right to set the Seahawks up.
Oh, no, that was oh shit. What was
Isn't his last name Curse?
Was it?
Maybe, I don't know.
I can't remember.
Somebody looked it up real quick while I talk. When he caught that ball, because he was like on his back,
Yeah.
the ball like danced on his chest, and then he caught it. And then I remember Malcolm Butler actually was the one who made the tackle to get him out of bounds from going into the end zone. And I had tears in my eyes, and I remember saying to myself, this is how we're always going to lose with these bullshit, improbable catches. I was like, this is the third time now. You had the helmet catch from David Tyree, the Mario Manningham damn near out of bounds, And I was like, and now this fucking one. And we were going to lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
There was less than a minute left on the clock. We were going to lose that game. And not only the fact that Malcolm Butler picked that off, like he knew, like when you watch it, he knew as soon as they line up, he was like, "Oh, this is the play that we trained in
Seattle.
We trained for this." And so like the fact that he called it, I didn't know who Malcolm Butler was, and I'm a big Patriots fan, undrafted guy. To have that moment, 28-3 was fucking amazing, but I don't know. I just felt like I felt out of it. I felt out of it until Dante Hightower strip sacked Matt Ryan. I just like sitting there numb on my couch. I was fully invested in the Seahawks Patriots game because also if the Patriots lose that game, then Tom Brady is probably not the GOAT.
Yeah.
Because then he loses 3 in a row. He wins 3 in a row, loses 3 in a row.
You got that LeBron record.
Right. So it's like he's not the GOAT if they lose that game. So it's for me that is actually more important. Yeah, I'm going the Butler pick. Every time I watch it, my heart flips. Also, you can't watch 28-3. It's not one thing, it's
True.
Like, it's a grind.
Yeah.
It is like incredible. But I feel like there's a lot of like legendary comebacks in NFL history. There's only one Malcolm Butler pick. I've never seen a game end like that on that level.
Yeah,
like at the goal line, a pick. And then also one of my favorite things, seeing Richard Sherman's face. Not that I dislike Richard Sherman, but his reaction, or his face literally like it's cartoonish. It like drops, his jaw drops. It's like goofy, like in the Mickey Mouse cartoons. I'm going the Butler pick. I was with y'all. We watched it at your house on Plum Street.
No, I was not with you. I was at Penn State.
Oh, that's right. Andrew was there.
Yeah,
our friend Andrew. And I remember I got all this food. I was like, we're gonna watch it together. And I'm like, that was like the ones that I did all this for nothing. I was actually by myself watching the Falcons game. Brian tried to get me to go out to some guy's house, but I don't know. For me, it's really tough to go to like when my team's in the Super Bowl. It's really tough to go to other people's houses because I don't know if they're dedicated football fans like me. And so like the focus isn't on the game and they're just like they're dancing and they're taking shots. I'm like, yo, chill the fuck out. Like I've been to places like that before and it's not really fun.
The year of the 28-3, I was invited to 2 Super Bowl parties. Both were by Patriots fans. One Patriots fan threw everybody out of the house.
Was it JC?
It was JC.
Okay, that makes sense.
Shout out to my man, J Sizzle Bizzle.
Yeah.
Threw everybody out of the house. Then he had to watch the comeback by himself. The other guy, man, his family was like really strongly Christian. So they were just sad. They were sad. They prayed at one point. I like bowed my head and I was like,
God.
What's going on here? They prayed for Brady's family, hoping that they were okay with the loss. I was like, dang, this is just sad. And then when they came back, like once again, they prayed. being Christian's a very weird place, man. You're praying all the time. So, either way, it was just weird. Just weird more than anything. And then I have a cousin in Atlanta. And I called him and he was pretty depressed.
I can imagine.
You actually called me. You called me after the Butler pick and you were drunk. And 2013 was a really bad year for me. Or 2014 was a really bad year for me. I had a lot of like personal shit. And you were like, yeah, you deserve it. You deserve it, Is.
Yeah.
After all that, it was heartwarming. I remember that. So yeah, I'm going that.
All right, Collin, what's next on the list?
Here, let's tell one at the top.
Trying to see what we have on cover. We got a lot of good things. Oh, the artist or the album? What do you think? Because we were discussing both.
I'll leave that up to you. It's yours. Your turn.
You can only choose one of these albums. The rest must be deleted.
So this is more than just 2 options?
No. It's
Okay.
One album stays. The other album has to go.
Doesn't exist. Okay.
Purple Rain or Thriller?
Thriller.
Dang!
That's fast.
That was instant.
I'm a bigger MJ fan. And I don't know, I feel like musically, Purple Rain is probably better, but Thriller is a better listening. Like for me, it's easier to listen to. And it's just like, bro, like if we're talking about like verses, like we're talking about like the Triller shit, like where artists verse each other. if you just play like Thriller front to back, it's 9 songs. It's 9 W's. You got Wanna Be Starting Something, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature, PYT.
Goddamn.
Like, that's crazy.
That is a stacked album.
Yeah, it's
lie.
it's the highest selling album of all time.
Yeah.
I do love Purple Rain, but yeah, Thriller. I'm an MJ guy.
So you take MJ over Prince?
Me, yes,
Okay.
yeah. Prince. The one thing with Prince, he was kind of like ahead of his time. He's like these artists today, like where you're oversaturating the market. Prince has like a shit ton of fucking albums.
That was kind of later though, wasn't it? Like 90s where he just put shit out
Like late 80s,
continuously?
90s, yeah. And it's like, but I mean that was still at his peak though. It's like
Yeah.
he was still really relevant. Yeah, I'm going Thriller.
Chappelle's story aside, still going Michael Jackson.
Mm.
And Michael Jackson just undefeated. The
Well-
one man nobody could beat in the verses.
I will say that the package of Purple Rain is better. Like the album cover, he made a movie with it, even though the movie's not good. The whole Purple Rain aesthetic is better than the Thriller aesthetic.
Right.
So wait a minute. Secondary question: is anybody beat Michael Jackson in the verses?
No,
I think it's impossible.
Yeah, probably not.
like if we're taking him like just his music, no. If we're taking him like as a performer and they're
Hell
like
no.
going against each other, no. Like the people will like, I've heard people say like Beyonce, but I'm like,
No.
I don't think so.
This is a quick tangent. Beyonce is great. I've had kind of a seesaw relationship with Beyonce in my life. Like I underrate her, then I properly rate her. I've never overrated her, but I think Beyonce would beat most people in her lane in the verses, and I think she pretty much beats everybody. But if you take prime Justin Timberlake, I think Justin Timberlake gives her a run for her money. Like first 3 album first 4 album Justin Timberlake. No, first 3 album Justin Timberlake. That Future Sex Love Sounds is kind of like a Thriller where it's like, yo, this has nothing but hits.
Are they both getting Destiny's Child and Backstreet Boys respectively?
I mean, you could, yeah. They actually have very similar careers too. That's why I thought about
He was
them
in
too.
sync.
Oh, NSYNC.
Yeah,
You're right.
NSYNC, yeah.
I feel like he loses that.
What?
If he gets that.
NSYNC versus Destiny's Child.
Oh, NSYNC for Destiny's Child. Yeah, they lose.
Yeah.
I'm not super big into boy band music.
But they're big too. It's not like they don't
Well,
have
they were
hits.
big.
There's Caucasian women in this country that disagree with you.
Shit, there's probably little black girls
Yeah.
who were,
True. Actually, okay, so we're gonna stay on this subject because this is very close to you, I think. I put these 2 artists, well, one is a band, one is a single artist, together because I've known you to not hate them. You've respected what they've done, but you may have been a little tired of them and the hype surrounding them. So one is Beyonce.
Okay.
The other is the Beatles.
So
Which one are you taking? Which one do you? Which one do you dislike least? I guess. Like, which one are you less annoyed by?
So the Beatles, much of my Beatles derision doesn't come from their music. It comes because my brother Devin, he was like the term dick rider was first introduced to me when Devin was dick riding the Beatles. Like this guy literally, when he got his first apartment, his shower curtain was the Beatles. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like this infatuation with these people that 2 of them are dead. And like, I don't know. I guess like for me, it didn't make sense for someone's favorite artist to be something that they've never experienced in time.
Yeah.
Now, I still kind of feel about that, but I've kind of like also come off of that because I understand that music emotes, it gives you a feeling. But I know, I guess like, everybody that I know their favorite artist is usually somebody that they listen to coming up. They're like synonymous with their growth. But people are allowed to have their own opinions. Now that I'm mature, I don't think either one of these acts are overrated. I used to feel that way about both of them. I don't think either one of them are overrated. The Beatles are great. They are probably the most influential music act of all time. What they've done with pop music, what they've done with rock music, the way they blend genres better than any musical act ever. They could do a pop song that sounds like straight pop. They can do ballads. They can do rock songs. It wasn't around yet, but I'm sure if they was around, they probably would have started fucking doing R&B. You know, because even McCartney's done some shit that's closer to that. You know,
Yeah.
he's continued his career and done so many other genres as well. And they do have a shorter career, and I do feel like when artists that are great have short careers, they have the benefit because it's like they never got the chance to make bad music. Most every artist makes bad music at some point.
It's the Biggie Small syndrome.
Right, like either whether they're they're uninspired or they just run out of things to talk about. Biggie Smalls, Nirvana, Beatles, these acts never have the chance to really make bad music. Beyonce doesn't necessarily have bad music, but I'm sure there's like some albums in there that people are like, it's all right. I did do a remix of a Beyonce song recently, and because of that, I don't know why I feel like I feel closer to Beyonce now. Like almost like I know her. I do think the Beatles make better music. So I'm gonna say I dislike them least, but not that I dislike Beyonce. Also, Beyonce, what I love about her, but also takes me out of fully embracing her. She makes music for a very special group. And I love that she makes music for that special group, which is black women. I love that because I feel like black women never had an artist for them.
Yeah.
Specifically for them that empowers them. Like there have been black musicians that women like Anita Baker, Gladys Knight, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. These are black women who made music that black women loved, but they weren't making music that empowered black women, probably because they weren't allowed to either.
Yeah.
So that's not a slight at those artists that I named. But Beyonce makes music for a crowd that is not me. I love that she does that, but it also is like I'm not over here like Rerun the World. Those songs don't resonate with me. I love that. Like if I had a daughter, maybe I'd even feel more strongly with that. But since I don't, I'm definitely more going towards listening to the Beatles. But both great artists. They're probably both top 50 all time.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. And if I did have to pair somebody with Michael in a versus, it probably would be Beyonce. Like closest.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you choose this next one.
Okay.
Do you want to stay on music or do you want to diversify your bonds, nigga?
If I had a choice. So like if somebody came with me and like they said they would invest in me in my music or other things.
No, that wasn't the question. I have two questions.
Oh.
It's either a music question or it's a different question.
Let's go different.
Okay. We've talked about a lot.
I was like, that was a really deep one.
We've talked about a lot. Sports, music, video games. We haven't talked about another art form, comedy.
Okay.
Which comedian would you take? And which comedian do you feel like has been more influential? Eddie Murphy or Dave Chappelle?
So we're talking like straight stand up. Dave Chappelle has a better catalog of stand-ups. But Eddie Murphy has two bangers. Raw and Delirious.
Yeah.
He's like probably like the Biggie of stand-up then. It's like he gave us two and then he dipped.
Yeah.
But he also gave us a lot of good movies.
Yep.
And Dave Chappelle doesn't do that. But maybe that's a good thing. We don't want Dave Chappelle to be making...
You don't want How High 4?
You mean Half-Baked?
Half-baked. That's right.
Half-baked,
Yeah.
Right.
That does have that great scene where the dude quits. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You're cool. Fuck you.
Half-Baked's not terrible. It's all right. It's stoner comedy.
Yeah.
But like that, maybe that's the benefit because we wouldn't get Pluto Nash and I Am Dave,
Or his music career. Although I think Michael
hold
Wants to
up.
Party All the Time is kind of a banger.
Yeah, Party All the Time's a banger.
But I've seen some videos about his whole career. Like that was the only banger he really had.
Yeah, it is. He's a one-hit wonder
Hold up.
musically. Don't bring
Yes,
up that
that-
Snoop Dogg song.
I was going to bring up that
Or that Michael
like-
Jackson.
He started doing reggae music.
It's like no guns or something like that.
No Guns Allowed, and
Yeah.
it has Drake on it too.
Oh yeah, Drake's on it. It's
Oh,
Drake,
Jesus.
Snoop, and Eddie Murphy.
That sounds
I like it.
terrible.
I can't lie.
Oh
Okay.
God.
That sounds like they're on a Club 44 and it's like just chilling, drinking. Like, I got the studio around back. So what is like the specific question here? Like what? Okay, which one do I like versus which one's influential?
You answered the first one of which one. I think you kind of answered both.
Eddie Murphy's more influential right now.
Yeah.
Now maybe 20 years from now we'll see more, comedians go into the vein of Dave Chappelle. I mean, it almost feels like at this point Dave Chappelle is like unanimously crowned as the best comedian alive.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like the Jay-Z of comedians, where it's like there was other great guys like George Carlin and Richard Pryor, but they're dead now. So it's kind of like he's taking the crown, and no one's arguing that. Like even like a Kevin Hart and Chris Rock will be like, nah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
So it's like that one's tough because I definitely like Chappelle's comedy stand-ups more, and then the Chappelle show is fucking legendary, greatest skits of all time. That also goes in line with when I started being allowed to watch comedy as a child, and even then, my mom probably should not have been letting me watch Chappelle show at like 11. But I do love Eddie Murphy. Like as a child, Eddie Murphy was like one of those actors I enjoyed. Watching The Nutty Professor, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cops, 48 Hours. Like dude was like Kevin Hart on steroids.
Yeah.
And these movies were good. That was the thing too. Like I love Kevin Hart, but a lot of his movies are not good. Eddie Murphy was putting out good movies, and he was the reason why a lot of these movies were good.
Yeah, I think Eddie Murphy kind of carries that title of being more influential, but his career trajectory, starting with SNL, stand-up, movies, and when he was doing SNL, he was the biggest SNL cast member, and arguably still one of the biggest of all time.
Yeah.
When he was doing stand-up, he was the best stand-up comedian.
He was like 21 when he was doing all that.
Yeah,
crazy.
that's insane.
And then he became the biggest movie star, which is interesting. And how many comedians can you say historically
Or
have been
in the 80s specifically?
or even in the 80s with
Black
Arnold
Man in the
Schwarzenegger,
80s,
with
like,
all these
yeah.
guys who were really dominating the box office.
He's the only comedian ever to be on that level. Like even Kevin Hart's never reached that level of movie stardom.
True.
Like I think if people were ignorant, they would not know that Eddie Murphy was on SNL or was a stand-up comedian first. It's very actually more similar to Robin Williams. Like there's like younger people, like probably my younger siblings don't know that Robin Williams started as a stand-up comic.
Yeah, true.
And just because they were so good at their movies that they did. And then he did some dramatic stuff that was good as well.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot to mention fucking Coming to America.
Oh,
Coming to
yeah.
America.
Yeah. 'Cause that's probably my favorite Eddie Murphy movie.
Coming to America 2, it ain't it.
I haven't seen it, but I'll skip it, I guess. He was really good in My Name is Dolomite.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
I do feel that Dave Chappelle, though, has been influential with the now stand-up generation.
He just talks to you now. It's not even like stand-up anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just talk.
It's
I
commentary.
think that's what everyone does now.
Yeah.
I really do. Every time I see anyone, they just kind of comment on their lives.
And honestly, it's not just it's the stand-up, but if it's how great the Chappelle show is.
Yeah.
Like it's just like fucking flawless. Like
Yeah.
it never fell off. I mean, I know it was only 2.5 seasons, but like you watch it and you're like, how is he coming up with these fucking ideas? Like they're brilliant.
Yeah.
Like the racial draft, like that's fucking brilliant. The Tyrone Bigham shit. The black white supremacists, like they're brilliant pieces of comedy.
It all of those felt like things that you would come up with at the lunch table in school. I mean, we all went to the same high school. It definitely just like that kind of comedy. It's like, yeah, of course. Like if you bullshit and you think about stuff, you think of like that's so it's. I think that's why a lot of our generation love that show so much. Okay, next one. I'm proud of myself for coming up with this one. It's
Okay.
back to sports.
Okay.
Shit, Matt.
So a term that has come about recently. I love it. It's from sports, but I love it. It's you can apply it to a lot of things. Mickey Mouse rings. When you talk about championships,
The bubble chip.
the bubble chip,
Yeah.
the 2019 to 2020 NBA championship. Lakers won it. I've heard you disparage it a bit. I know this might sting too. So would you keep that? Would you keep that 2020 title, or would you trade it so that the Chris Paul trade gets completed? Back in the day,
Chris Paul trade.
yeah,
Chris Paul trade is I remember Brian, and this was probably like I wish we knew what podcasting was back then. I mean, we did have Retro Requiem, which for the listeners, we ran. Well, they primarily ran. They brought me on later before it went sideways and now it's defunct. They ran with RIP, the RR. They ran a video game website that I guess started out with retro games, and then it just expanded to entertainment, as most of these things do.
Yeah.
Like IGN was like strictly video games, and now it's like a big nerd culture. It's like the CNN of nerd culture at this point, right? So I'm actually really proud of you guys for that.
Yeah, I think we can pat ourselves.
The fact that you guys were like 22 doing that shit by yourselves, getting domain names and all that. The website was pretty legit. Yeah. I was sad that one time when I went back and like the domain name was no longer there. Cause
somebody took it?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I guess so.
Yeah, because then there was like the website no longer existed. But Brian had one time come up with this idea when we were sitting in the living room of that place that you lived in Millersville when you were going there. What's the top 10 things that you hate about sports? Like sports related things.
Yeah.
You know, and like everybody's number one was like Roger Goodell, you know, but high up on the list for me, because it was very, very fresh, was the veto trade of Chris Paul.
Still crazy.
It bothered me on two parts because it was vetoed. And then it bothered me even more because he was allowed to go play for the Clippers. Yeah. Which is the same city. Because they said, we don't want him going to a big market. We don't want big markets taking advantage. When you actually look at the trade, the trade was actually more in favor of the Clippers, the package that they put together, than the trade that the Lakers put together was actually more favorable for the Hornets. Because we were giving up a lot for Chris Paul. So I think I'm about to pick that one because I've seen Chris Paul play now. Yeah. Chris Paul was just in the finals 2 years ago. Yeah. It's hard for me to think that him and Kobe together, as opposed to it would have been him, Kobe, and Dwight, as opposed to him, Kobe, and Steve Nash. Yeah. It's hard for me to think that like that would not have worked. Yeah. Because it's like Chris Paul is great. He's a fucking like legend.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
And I know obviously so was fucking Steve Nash, but he was like in his 18th, 19th season. Yeah. And for guards, they don't last that long. So like, you know, for the fact that, I mean, now Chris Paul's starting to break down. The Suns are fucking at 500 right now. They're probably not going to be good. That was Kobe's last chance to compete. And it sucks that you know, Kobe got a lot of shit for people like saying they didn't want to play with him. And, you know, I think the Buss ownership actually had more to do with that than actually Kobe himself, you know, because Jerry Buss was sick and then he died. And then it's not a coincidence that ever since he died, it's been a fucking Mickey Mouse run organization. Yeah. That was his last chance to truly compete. Not just like win a title, but to compete. And then a large part of the reason why Kobe had those injuries was because Kobe was playing like 45 minutes a game. Yeah. Because the team wasn't good. And because Dwight Howard played like a bitch when he came there. And because Steve Nash, I think they said Steve Nash, Kobe, and Dwight played like a total of like 12 games together.
He got injured early on, didn't he, Steve Nash?
Yeah, he was like, his career was done. Yeah. You know, and that's when everybody was trying to do the big three. You know, everybody was trying to do big three, and it only worked for Boston and Miami. Yeah. And to be honest, it might not have worked for Miami if it wasn't LeBron part of that big three. Yeah. Like if it was another guy, like if it was Carmelo, Wade, and Bosh, it probably wouldn't have worked for them either. No. So yeah, I'm picking that because that was like, it kind of robbed Kobe of his last years. It put Kobe in a really bad position. Yeah. And then it's like, not only did like a lot of people say nobody wants to go play with Kobe, the contracts were fucked up. They were given like big contracts to Luol Deng and to Timothy Moskov. Yeah. They couldn't sign people. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think they restructured Luol Deng's contract to where I think his contract came off the books like last year.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because they had to like restructure it so that like it wasn't fucking them every fucking year. Because he was getting paid like damn near like max money. Yeah. So I'm gonna pick the Chris Paul trade. Bubble Chip can kiss my ass. You know what I will say about the NBA today? And I don't know how you feel about this, specifically as a Sixers fan. It's weird because just like there's no longer a thing like outside of like the Warriors and probably like San Antonio and maybe the Heat. Teams don't have culture anymore. And it's a large part because there's so many moving parts all the time. There's new coaches, there's new GMs, there's new players. So when your team wins, like the Lakers win, and I know I'm probably sounding like some like fucking whiny bitch because I'm a Lakers fan. I was like, when we won, I'm like, LeBron's cool, AD's cool, And I'm like, I fucking hate Rondo because I'm a Lakers fan. I'm supposed to hate Rondo.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
But these are the guy winning chips on my team. I'm like fucking J.R. Smith, like, and it's just like my favorite non-LeBron Laker was fucking Alex Caruso, and that's what happens in today's NBA. Like, there's no culture, so when your teams are winning, you know, like you're just like, man, it doesn't feel as strong as it did like when the Lakers won, when it was Trevor Ariza, Paul Gasol, Andrew Bynum,
Yeah.
crackhead.
Lamar Odom.
Lamar Odom. Yeah, it doesn't feel the same. And that's like the one thing where I like feel like no matter who's on the team, football has like teams have a culture.
Yeah.
So like that's why it's like it's easy to root for teams as opposed for players. Now I get why these kids root for players, because why would you root for if you love John Morant and he leaves? Why would you root for the Grizzlies?
Yeah.
I used to shit on people for it, but now I feel like now for kids nowadays, I get it. You like Luka, you like Luka. You don't like the Mavs.
Yeah, it's like felt weird getting PJ Tucker because
That's a good one.
I hate PJ Tucker. I hated him last year when they played the Heat. He was such a Heat, but he made sense on the Heat. Such a Heat player, you know, like a pain in the ass and like a sneering asshole kind of thing. And like, but now he's on the team, and I don't think he's doing very well.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why the fuck they signed him.
He's like he's as old as LeBron is.
Yeah, and not LeBron.
No,
So we
right.
always forget how superhuman that Brady and LeBron are doing the things that they're doing at the.
I mean, kudos to PJ Tucker for being able to even play in the NBA at this age.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
come on, man, you gotta go.
Yeah.
Quick history lesson. The Hornets had issues with their owner, and so for a short period of time, they were owned by all the other owners
That's
in
right,
the NBA.
Yeah, that's why I
So
got
they
vetoed.
split. So the reason it got vetoed, and I imagine, because we were talking about Great Chappelle's kids, it was like the player haters ball. They all came together, all the 29 owners. Oh,
Yeah.
the Lakers trying to make a trade, huh? Oh, help Kobe win more championships.
I think that's also the most hot cold I've ever been in my life in like a span of an hour.
Oh, God,
I was at
yeah.
my friend, my old friend Lewis's house, and it came across a ticker on ESPN when ESPN was good for that. You know,
Yeah.
ESPN actually reported fucking news. And it came across a ticker, and then that's what they reported because that was the hot news. And then they're like, wait a second. We got Shams Charania coming in, and Chris Paul's not going. And like I remember they put up, which is crazy because this is like the advent of Twitter. They put up Chris Paul's tweet. I'll never forget. And they had Chris Paul's picture, and then it just said, "Wow, ...
That sucks.
Yeah.
I know how fast Mark Cuban voted no to that trade. Thank you, Mark Cuban.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder how he feels. He probably feels the most strongly about it than anybody in the world.
Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was the one who didn't win a title.
That would have been the best player he's ever played with. Kobe.
easily.
Yeah.
Best situation he's ever been in,
Yep.
probably to that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Here. You pick your next one.
Got you. So, we've took our detour. Let's return to music.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about albums. I'm going to hit you with another one.
Okay.
You can only choose, once again, one of these albums. The other must be deleted from history.
I have a feeling I know what it's going to be, but go ahead.
Would you rather have The Blueprint
I knew that was going to be one of them.
or the Marshall Mathers LP?
I knew this was going to be it. Eminem's best album versus arguably Jay-Z's best album. I've readily said over and over and over and over again that The Blueprint is my favorite album of all time. 13 songs, flawless.
Like a fucking
Probably
Mortal Kombat perfect finish.
every song on there is probably like a perfect 10 out of a 10, except for maybe one, and that song's probably like an 8. Eminem's album, it's like it's almost like a cinematic masterpiece. I've always said that the Marshall Mathers LP to me was like a Tarantino movie made in audio form. There's stories in it. The one thing I've always appreciated about Eminem is he kind of did create his own cinematic universe. Like he does things in songs where like he has a bunch of songs where at the end he says, "I'm just playing ladies, you know I love you," and he says that like in a lot of his songs, like
Yeah.
like the Kill Shot, "I'm just playing Diddy, you know I love you." He's created like his own universe, like with the Ken Kniff shit and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Paul calling him. There's only one song on the Marshall Mathers LP that I'm not too fond of, and it's called Under the Influence, and it's with D12, and it's okay, but I just feel like that was his way to introduce D12 to the world. But it got Stan on there. I'm just gonna roll with what I've been saying forever. I'm gonna pick Blueprint over the Marshall Mathers LP. Eminem's my favorite, but I've always been on record saying that Jay-Z's the best rapper alive. And Jay-Z's in my top 3 personal favorite as well. So it's not like I just giving that to him because that's what I'm supposed to say. No, I fucking love Jay-Z. And in fact, like if I wanted to like model my music more, I've always like kind of try to model more like Jay-Z than Eminem. Because I don't want to be there should never be a second Eminem. You know, you can kind of get like a second Jay-Z. I feel like there's some of the Drake stuff, some of the Rick Ross stuff, you know, they aspire, you know. Blueprint's just so fucking good, man. It's like so fucking good. The production's great. The way he's rapping on there. I can listen to Blueprint any day of the fucking week. And I went and bought a pair of sneakers, a pair of Nike Air Maxes because they were called the Blueprints. And I was like, this is my favorite album. I need to buy these shoes. They're the same color as the album. When I performed my first show that I put together, I bought those shoes for that beat. And I literally thought to myself, I want to wear these shoes because I want to be like representing my favorite album at my show. And like it meant nothing to nobody else in the crowd but me, because nobody else knew that I was wearing those shoes because of that. But I wore these shoes because I'm like, I'm standing in my head, like I'm like sometimes dramatic with it. I'm standing on the foundation of what led me here.
Yeah.
You know, like literally on my feet.
Yeah.
Is what I've been inspired by. And it's not like the Marshall Mathers LP hasn't inspired me. And I think if you asked a lot of like hip hop people, they would probably put the Marshall Mathers LP over the Blueprint album. Because there's some people who argue back and forth like if that's even Jay-Z's best album. Some people pick like Reasonable Doubt. Some people pick the Black Album. I think the Black Album is because like that was supposed to be his retirement album.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's his best album. Yeah, I'm going to Blueprint, but I did if I top 5 all time. Those are both in my top 5 along with Thriller because you guys named that earlier. Yeah,
I had a cousin, and he served some time in prison, and when he got out, he was like, "Yo, cuz what's the music going on right now? Put it on my iPod. This is what we had back in the day." Went on LimeWire, downloaded some songs, threw them on his iPod. He was listening to the songs. All right, this is all right. Some things he liked, some things he didn't. One thing he said, "Bro, you ain't got no Jay-Z on here?" I was like, damn, I'm not a big Jay-Z fan. Man, listen to the Blueprint, cuz. Come on now. What are you... Even in prison, my man, listen to Blueprint. Come on now. What you doing, man? Throw on the Blueprint. My cousin didn't lie, man. It's a banger.
Yeah. It's a banger. Only one feature, which is ironically Eminem.
Yeah.
One, technical feature, because Kanye West does do a chorus on Never.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Never Change. Which I always tell people, technically there is another feature. Kanye does there's the 2 hidden tracks.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Breathe Easy, Lyrical Exercise, and then Girls, Girls, Girls Part 2.
That's right.
It's just like, bro, like go through it. Ruler's Back, one of the best album openers of all time. Takeover, my opinion, the best diss record of all time. That's my opinion. I know I'm in the minority on that. H to the Izzo, Girls, Girls, Girls.
Yep.
Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City.
That's great. Still love that track.
Song Cry.
Yeah.
Renegade, one of the best collaborative songs in hip hop history. And then even like the B-sides like Never Change. All I Need.
Yeah.
Really fucking good song. The one song that people kind of like just try to push off is called That Nigga Jigga. I like that song. Like it's probably the worst song on there, but that's like the one that I'll probably give an 8.
Yeah.
It's still really good. And it's like mostly, that's also where Kanye got his start pretty much.
Yeah, that's true.
And Just Blaze, like that was like, they were like, you know.
Yeah. That's one of the best managements of different producers, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
You guys are like breaking my heart on some of these, bro.
This is a more poetic one.
Okay.
Wow.
We're talking about seasons. Spring or fall?
Fall. Not even close.
Yeah.
Fuck
For what reason?
Spring's actually my least favorite.
Really?
Season. Yes.
Oh, I forgot he had allergies like a bitch.
That's one. I don't like Muggy Cold.
Oh, interesting.
It rains a lot, and it's muggy, and it's like a muggy cold. It's like if it's gonna be muggy, just fucking be hot.
Right.
I thought he was speaking a different language for a second. I was like, muggy, cool.
No, it's like it's muggy and it's not warm out.
Right.
It's like I don't like it, and I just fucking like. It's like literally raining on my parade. I enjoy rain when I'm inside,
Right.
but when I'm outside, rain fucking sucks. The reason, I mean, I know a lot of people probably like pick winter as their last. I just feel like winter has too many good things in it. Like there's like Christmas and Thanksgiving.
You can see that.
And Martin Luther King Day. And then like, sometimes it is pretty to look at snow. And then I always think of family when I think of winter because you're inside more, football,
Yeah.
Fall and winter. Spring, I'm just like, you have NBA. That's about it.
Yeah. And if you, I don't know, I guess Valentine's Day is like kind of on the border.
That's definitely winter, bro. It's
Yeah.
February 14th. That shit cold as shit outside. Every Valentine's Day that we're going on, we run into the car.
Fair enough.
Facts.
I guess you can drink yourself. You
It
can
kind of makes it better because you get to cuddle up and shit.
True. Well, if you have someone to cuddle up with.
Oh, dang.
Well, yeah.
Oh, dang. We took a turn.
You
Anyway,
you cuddle up by yourself.
that's depressing.
You can watch some like fucking Nicholas Sparks movies and cuddle up by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take spring. I love rainy days. Although hoodie weather is pretty fire.
Bro, that's the other thing I was saying. The best drip comes in the fall.
I see that.
I will say definitely because if you have a hoodie, if you have a zip hoodie, you can have a fire hoodie.
Show the
And then you
t-shirt
can show
off.
Speaking of, show off a t-shirt. It'd be
That is a
something
fire
fire
shirt.
underneath it, and then you're like, dang, like you might have different parts of your outfit matching to each other and doing different things.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
Because in the winter, you could feel like the same way, but then the coat kind of kills it sometimes. You're like, no, I swear what's underneath this is fire. It's just cold. I can't show you. And there's only one holiday in spring that people fuck with, and that's Easter.
Easter is fire.
St. Patrick's Day.
I don't really care about Easter.
Dang, he totally just ignored the
Yeah, damn. You want an excuse to get
So
blackout
anyways,
drunk?
About Easter.
The older that I get, I don't like the fact that people. It kind of is cultural appropriation.
I mean, I have a lot of Irish heritage.
You're allowed, but all the other people who are just using Irish people to excuse to drink, I don't think it's respectful.
I think it is kind kind of tacky.
Yeah,
We were just
say it.
wearing green together in Atlanta.
he's got his name is Collin MacConnell.
My name's not.
I think Perry's actually Irish.
Actually, it's Celtic.
Same shit, bro.
It was someone who lives by a
Basically, yeah.
pear tree.
Interesting.
There's a lot of Brian Perrys that are probably that name is very Irish.
True. Yeah.
Facts.
There's a lot of Irish Bryans.
Yeah, so my owners were Irish. Now I know.
I think you're entitled to drink quite a bit.
Oh,
Then.
hey.
There you go.
Might I have a drink, massa? you just got the Irish blood in you.
I'm gonna paint a picture for this next question.
Oh boy.
Go for it.
You're working in a retail store, dead end job, working 8-hour shifts, weekends, holidays. The owner of the store loves this artist and only plays this artist's music every single day of the 50 hours you're working because you got to work overtime on the weekends at this job. You know you ain't getting any joy or pleasure from this job. And this is the soundtrack to your job. It's either Tyga's music or French Montana's music that you have to listen to every day at this job.
That was good. I really like that.
So it's like your corny cousin who like always wants all the attention, or your drunk uncle.
Your corny fuckboy
Yeah,
cousin who
yeah.
definitely knocked up a underage girl
Yeah.
Damn.
and talks like he's tough.
Yeah.
He's a bitch.
Pants always hanging off his ass. He weighs like $150,
Yep.
if that. And then French Montana, I've always said he's just a drunk uncle. He sounds drunk all the time.
He does. Like
So
he's confused.
I gotta hate on Tyga more. Looks like a light-skinned chipmunk.
But here's the thing. All the deficiencies of Tyga, there's one thing about Tyga, that he has a really good ear for beats.
Yeah, and then he ruins them.
Taste.
Oh God.
But sometimes he gets people on those songs. So I'm like, okay, taste sucks, but I'm going to get this Offset verse real quick.
You could say the same for French Montana, though. French Montana also.
French
has a lot
Montana.
of
French
good
Montana basically
features.
is the rap DJ Khaled. And that
I wouldn't insult DJ Khaled that way.
I'm just saying that he gets a lot of people on songs.
That's facts.
And then they're no longer his songs anymore. Like Unforgettable, great song until French Montana starts rapping. You're like, go Sway Lee, do your thing, and then it's like, oh shit.
I can vibe with French Montana.
I'm gonna pick
a
French
bit.
Montana.
I can never.
Ooh, are you?
Yeah.
I can
That's
never.
upset.
I can never look past Tyga on a track. I never. He ruins every track for me completely.
I think they're both pretty bad. But I think French Montana got more songs I'll enjoy. If Pop That comes on,
Yeah, pop that.
Yeah.
Unforgettable. I like Unforgettable.
Stay Scheming.
Yep.
I think the thing
That's
with
actually
French
Rick
is
Ross.
You know what? Here's why I'll give it to him. Because I actually do like a French Montana song that's just him. Shot Caller is a fucking banger.
Oh yes.
And the music that he's made with Harry Fraud is
Yes.
actually pretty good. Like early on.
That's a really good pairing of a artist and a producer.
Yes, I'm gonna go French Montana because of that. Because I don't think I've ever liked anything consistently about Tyga.
I would say, for me personally, I'd go with Tyga. I think French is consistently better, and I think French's solo work would be less painful than Tyga's solo work. But when Tyga got features, and when Tyga got them beats, it's some tough beats.
Yeah, I'm going French.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with
I'm going Uncle French. It's funny because I feel like in real life, that scenario that we used, Tyga would be French's son. And the reason why he's like that because his dad was always drunk,
Yeah,
not taking care of him.
probably.
That drunk uncle who wears the gold chains and has the pinky ring, and he thinks he's the shit. And you're like, dude, you're like 500 pounds now. Like,
Yeah.
chill out. I see your butt crack every time. You know, like, and he's trying to like give you hugs and stuff. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. He'll make inappropriate comments about women,
Yeah.
and then that's who his son is.
To be fair, I think French Montana lost weight. So yeah.
Hey.
Anyway, next question. Now, this makes sense for me. Spielberg or Scorsese?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one because I love like the magic in films, and that's what Spielberg brings you.
Yeah.
But like I recently watched Goodfellas the other day, and I'm like, God damn,
Yeah.
God damn, this man be fucking doing it sometimes.
Cooking.
Not sometimes, most of the times. I recently watched Cape Fear, which is like fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm like, whose idea was it to get fucking Robert De Niro to do a fucking Southern accent? Like, I do declare. Like that's basically what he's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
But it was very entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a TNT. Like you remember when we were kids and like
Yes.
when movies actually got played on network and you like got what your family watched it. It was
Yep.
like a TNT movie.
Yep.
Like you'd want to watch that.
It's a great way to describe it.
You know, they would be like, 8:00 on a Sunday night. They're playing that. It was like one of those movies. And then also to see the cast, like I was like, oh, I didn't know all these people were in this movie.
Yeah.
Like Nick Nolte,
Yeah.
Juliette Lewis, which was really young. To the point I had to Google. I'm like, he's doing a lot of weird shit with this girl. How old was she at this time? She was 18. So I was like, okay, because a lot of that shit was kind of weird.
Yeah.
He like literally even kissed her and everything. That is hard. That's almost like an Eminem versus Jay-Z type thing. Where it's like Eminem's like not as consistent like Spielberg, but when the magic's there, and it's just like Jay-Z's just like, I'm giving you these fucking cuts, like, like it's more like Scorsese.
Had to put on a shot clock.
I think I'm gonna side with Scorsese because I don't think I've ever seen a bad Scorsese film. I have seen some Spielberg films. I'm like,
Yeah. He's made some pretty mid. A lot of what he's done that I've seen for the past decade, I've not been very interested in.
hold up, did he make Captain Phillips?
No, that was Paul Greengrass.
What is some of the recent Spielberg films?
Hold up, I heard that movie that he put out last year was amazing.
West Side Story?
No, it's about filmmaking,
Oh, is it his autobiographical thing?
basically.
Fablemans?
People are saying that's fucking amazing.
Hold up, I got to pull up the IMDb now.
He did BFG.
I watched that and I've forgotten almost everything
Oh
about
God,
it.
Indiana Jones 5. Forgot about that.
Yeah, he's not directing it.
Really?
It's James Mangold.
Get out of here.
But that's good pick.
That might
James
be good.
Mangold.
Yeah.
He did the Logan Swan song, so why not do the Indiana
Yeah.
Jones Swan song?
That's true.
But I'm gonna go Scorsese because I think he's consistently like. I still have yet to see The Irishman, but
He don't really direct a lot. It's a lot of producing.
In retrospect, going back and watching The Wolf of Wall Street, I'm like, this is a fucking great movie.
Yeah.
When I watched it, I didn't think it was great.
He's like 70 years old. At that point, with Wolf of Wall Street, he's 70 years old, directing with more energy than a lot of like directors who, and more like focus as well, and more virtuosity than a lot of.
It's like, how can a movie
directors.
this crazy be this focused?
Yeah.
It's one of the few movies that like in the moment, like for the scale of it, it grew on me. And I was like, man, this movie actually, maybe it should have won more awards. Maybe it should have been higher held up.
Yeah.
Then I think people just wanted to shit on it.
I think it will continue to have a following and probably gain in esteem. I mean, I think it was already pretty well thought of at the time.
I think the thing was, some of it was like, and I don't think like completely. I think like certain like left wing people were like, he's glorifying this, and it's like he's not. But that's just how they're viewing it.
I'm a pretty left wing guy, and I don't see that.
But I've heard that a lot.
Right. I would say that the thing about Scorsese is he balances looking at bad people doing bad things, but he doesn't like look down on them. He doesn't excuse them for their horrible actions.
He's saying they're human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that there's interesting parts
And also,
of that.
I think what he likes to do sometimes is character studies like, and if you were in a situation, you would have done the same fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Spielberg's optimism and I think that's the criticism of him, is that he's too schmaltzy sometimes, you know?
The magic of it, yeah.
Yeah, too earnest. And I think more than anything else now, I don't think like this at this point in like culturally, I don't think that's kind of something that people want all that much, or that at least feels very relatable.
Let me ask a question. Because I'm looking this up on his IMDb page as we're talking about this.
Which one?
Mr. Spielberg.
Okay.
How many movies do you feel like Steven Spielberg has directed?
Oh, Jesus.
At least like 25.
Yeah, I'll say 30 ballpark.
Oh, wow. I thought you guys were going to say a lot more. It's 59.
That's more than I thought.
That is
59. Probably some documentaries on here.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Some shorts on here.
Okay, yeah. So that's,
But it's at least like 40 movies, though.
I would say it's about
And don't get me wrong,
30 features.
He's still they're both on the Mount Rushmore
Yeah, for sure. They're both masters of the craft. I think it's more about what you want.
because he has Schindler's List. He has
Yeah, I was about to
Saving
say,
Private
give me
Ryan.
Schindler's List, give me Jurassic Park, give me E.T. I'll take the highs, man, of Spielberg.
Yeah.
He did Amistad? I didn't know he did Amistad.
Yeah, damn stuff.
Yeah,
my man.
so you'll take
Color
Spielberg.
Purple.
I would take Spielberg.
I'm also a big fan of like Noirs, like Noir movies.
Oh, newer.
No, Noir, like Noir, Noir.
Oh, noir.
Noir,
Okay.
noir.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of those. So like, you don't really get those anymore. But like the closest thing you probably get to is like The Departed.
Yeah, like crime thrillers like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I just watched rewatched a Spielberg movie, Minority Report.
Great.
Great. I think it's that. Speaking of noirs, film noir or crime noirs. Yeah, that's like a neo noir kind of thing.
Super underrated.
Yeah, one of those more underrated movies. I've always enjoyed it. I would probably say personally, I prefer Scorsese. So, but I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with their classics. I don't think. So.
They're both in my top 4.
It's the weekend. Late Saturday night. You're at the karaoke bar, just enjoying a few drinks with the fellas. Who walks in? But Mariah Carey. Gorgeous as always. Then behind her, who's that? Is that Adele? Adele just walked in? In their primes. Who's still in the show at this karaoke bar? Mariah Carey or Adele? They can do their songs. They can do other songs. They's going in.
This is the most random, but I'm probably gonna take Mariah because I think she has a more diverse vocal range. She also has like more parlor tricks that she can do with her voice. Like that high note that she does, that's gonna like if she does that one time,
Bringing the house down.
just bringing the house down. Like if we're doing karaoke and she does that, and it's like people are like, "Oh my gosh, she just fucking did that." Adele has a more powerful voice, in terms of like straight, like she could just like sing straight through. And like I've heard her live, not seen her live, but I've heard her live. I'm like, that shit just sounds like the fucking studio record. Like that shit sounds amazing. I just think Mariah has more vocal range, so she could probably do like a rock song, then she could do an R&B song. And like I said, I think she could do like more of those parlor tricks, you know, with her voice. So I would pick Mariah over her. Also, I feel like like visually, like seeing Mariah walk into a bar as opposed to seeing Adele, I feel like Adele would be like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Get out of here. Like, it's like that, what's a fine lady like you doing in a place like this? Adele in a bar doesn't translate in my mind.
You know you're shooting your shot at Mariah.
Although Adele probably would be the one to be in the bar because Mariah Carey is like a diva. And Adele actually seems like very down to earth. So, yeah.
True. I have no strong opinion. I would tell Mariah, however, she should probably stay away from All I Want for Christmas. That might, like, people have heard that song a lot.
Depends on what time of the year it is.
Yeah.
If you're at a bar in December and Mariah Carey walks in, then you're like, nah, I want to hear it.
And you're several drinks in, then yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
What I'm doing, I'm starting to take bets. Hey, yo, I got the money on the underdog, Adele. Because I think Adele's going to surprise you. I seen Mariah Carey mess up live. She goes hit the high note. The high note ain't as high as you thought it was. She got the music playing in the background.
I have seen that more recently, yeah.
My girl Adele, undefeated. Live performances. I'm putting the money on Adele. And
But you said karaoke, right?
Listen, it's live.
Karaoke's not all about perfection.
She got to come out. When you fighting Adele, it is.
I guess, yeah.
This is heavyweight boxing. It's like, man, Muhammad Ali gonna knock me out in a street fight. Yeah, sure, but when Mike Tyson walk up, you better be perfect, bro. I'll tell you.
That's true. Very random. Yeah, I'm gonna go Mariah.
Okay. I would say this is another random one. This is nothing, not in music. I guess it's children's entertainment. But you should appreciate that. Looney Tunes or the Muppets?
Looney Tunes. Yeah. That's also a random one. I just think like, is there any cartoon? I mean, probably Mickey Mouse, but Looney Tunes is probably the most influential cartoons of all time.
Facts.
Yeah. I've seen more Looney Tunes than I have seen like Disney animated.
The Looney Tunes, the Disney cartoons are more influential because they're more iconic.
Yeah.
But the Looney Tunes cartoons are better.
Yeah.
I also think that because like the Disney cartoons were supposed to be strictly meant for children, where the Looney Tunes were not. They were just making cartoons, and whoever liked them. They were shooting each other and shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like guys, you've seen it where the guy gets shot and then he goes to drink. He's like, oh, I'm not shot. And then he goes to drink a drink and he's leaking.
Yeah.
That's not kid entertainment. You know, they also have so many iconic characters: Bugs, Daffy, Yosemite Sam, Elmer Fudd, Sylvester, Tweety. I do love the Muppets. I remember when I was as a kid, that was another one where I thought it was for kids, and then I got older and I'm like, hold up, this is not for kids. Muppet Treasure Island, banger.
Yeah.
Banger.
That was one of the first two movies I ever saw in the theater.
And the songs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Muppet Treasure Island, banger.
The Christmas Carol, Muppet Christmas Carol.
There was one about Gonzo in space or something like that. Like,
oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Muppets in space.
When he was an alien, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing that
where he came
with my...
That's when we find out what he was.
Yeah.
So I did love the Muppets when I was a kid. You know, Kermit's one of the most likable characters of anything ever. He's more likable. I feel like he's even more likable than Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse. Who dislikes Kermit, bro?
Yeah.
Like Kermit's the G. He has bangers too, like literal bang. Like It's Not Easy Being Green.
Yeah.
Rainbow Connection.
Yeah.
When I hear Rainbow Connection, that shit like right in the feels. Maybe the you know allegory for Miss Piggy and Kermit very early on, you know, interracial marriage, because you know it's like it's inter like different species.
Yeah.
You know, the two old guys, they're classic.
Yeah. Beaker and
No, the two old guys.
Yeah. No,
oh,
I'm
you're
just,
talking about Beaker and
the critics.
Yeah.
In my best dreams, Collin and I are those two old guys. Sitting in the balcony
Just
hating on
heckling
somebody.
people.
Yeah. And then they also have the connection to Sesame Street.
Jim Henson.
Which for me was Sesame Street was the go-to for me. I wasn't really a big Barney fan. I liked Sesame Street when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I think the Muppets meant more to me as a child because I did watch Sesame Street so much, and they used to play the Muppets reruns, I think, on Nick at Night. And Looney Tunes would be on Cartoon Network because of the Warner rights.
Yes. Yeah.
But they wouldn't always play Looney Tunes and whatnot. So like I got more into like Looney Tunes a little later. But Looney Tunes is definitely better.
I got a little bit of a hot take. I would argue that the cast of the Muppets and the cast for Looney Tunes, respectively, separately, are both stronger as individuals and as a group than the main cast of Disney, Mickey, Donald,
Oh, for sure.
Goofy, Pluto,
Agreed.
whatever else. Like, I think they wash them. I think they're stronger. I just think they're mismanaged.
Well, because I only think that there's only two in that group who have personalities. It's Daffy and Goofy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Donald and Goofy.
Yeah.
Mickey's bland.
Yeah. Mickey is, I don't know.
Which down the road has actually like helped them in certain things because now they've been able to write Mickey however they want to write him.
Yeah.
So like in different stuff, it's like Mickey's this way, Mickey's that way because he doesn't have a defined personality. I guess he's like altruistic, but outside of that, it's just like
Yeah.
you know, like I think the best example of like they gave Disney a personality was when they did like the Jack and the Beanstalk.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good, you know. But it's always like his strength was it's almost like a show, like a sitcom. The main characters a lot of time don't have the great personalities. It's the guys like it's George Costanza. It's almost funny because like George Costanza is like Donald Duck, and Kramer is Goofy.
Well, and I mean, even in that case, like George Costanza was a reflection of what's his name, Larry David. Yeah, like he wrote that like himself. Yeah.
So it's like it's almost like a sitcom. The Disney characters, it's like the main character is strong because the supporting cast is stronger.
Yeah.
But no, definitely the Looney Tunes are way better than the Disney. And I'm always like a Disney guy, but yeah.
You know, the Muppets make sense because they are like physical, you know, things to make movies with real humans. However, I don't really understand why Looney Tunes always has to be in real life with real actors, like Space Jam or Looney Tunes Back in Action. Why can't they just have an animated movie and just let that shit roll, bro, and try to make that work?
Yeah.
Because I guess their thing is like, how do you translate what Looney Tunes does well into the modern era and sell? You can't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's the privilege that Disney has is that they've allowed their characters to they were always kid friendly in a way. So then they've allowed them to be like, well, now we're going to put Donald in this situation. We're going to put Goofy in this situation. Goofy's a father now. Goof Troop. Donald has nephews and an uncle. DuckTales. The Looney Tunes kind of like their personalities or their characters were so good, but they were so to them that you can't just take Bugs out and say, now this is what Bugs is going to do now. It's like, no, I want to see Bugs and I want to see Bugs fuck with Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam. So I think maybe that's why it's hard, but maybe they should like lean on like, if they did a Duck Dodgers movie, that could be good.
Oh, hold up. Don't steal the idea.
Because they had a Duck Dodgers show on Cartoon Network for a little bit, and I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah. Darkwing Duck.
That's Disney.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And also a banger, also underrated, the Looney Tunes show that came out in 2011.
The newer one?
The newer one?
I never watched it.
Very
Never watched
underrated.
it.
Very underrated.
I like Baby Looney Tunes.
We're talking about versus.
Yeah.
Talking about matchups. Let's say Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds. Say we gonna have a versus with our filmography. Who's taking that chip?
Ryan Gosling.
I think that's an easy question.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Ryan Reynolds got bangers.
We
man.
love Ryan Reynolds for being Deadpool, but his filmography is not that good.
Green Lantern.
I mean, damn.
Red Notice.
You went damn.
And like a lot of his earlier stuff is just like a lot of like rom-com, dumb shit.
Yeah.
I always liked him like because he's one of the most charismatic actors of any generation. And I just like he just seems like one of the coolest guys in Hollywood. He does like even the Mint Mobile commercials. Like he's great. Ryan Reynolds in himself is great. But for the most part, he is playing himself in every movie. He's Deadpool in everything. Like I saw Free Guy. It was a really good movie.
Yeah, Free Guy's good.
It was really good. But it was just like, hey, what if we took Deadpool and we put him in this situation. He's kind of it's like I love Will Smith, but it's one of my criticisms of Will Smith for a long time. I was like, Will Smith is the Fresh Prince in different situations. Like for a long time, he was that.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, in my opinion, and I feel like I sound biased, but then at the same time, it's like, is it biased when you're talking about an actor who doesn't get really any acclaim? Is one of the better actual actors of his generation. I like how nuanced he can be in his performances and still shine, or like in Drive, in Place Beyond the Pines, in Blue Valentine, in Lars and the Real Girl. He also has this thing where I think only him and Brad Pitt, I would say him, Brad Pitt, and George Clooney, they have front cover appeal. They're pretty, they're handsome, and they could just be like movie stars. But they were like, no, we want to be challenged as actors. We want to actually act.
I think Timothy Chalamet is going that direction.
I get what Izzy means, though. Timothy Chalamet is more like boyish charm.
Oh, you mean like just kind of solid jawed,
Like they're leading
yeah.
men guys.
almost
Yeah,
like classically.
That's what
Yeah.
they're leading men, but they want to do character actor shit.
Right.
You know, like
I can see that.
when you're watching Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? There's not a lot of actors who would do what George Clooney was doing in that movie.
Right.
That are of his fame.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of guys who would do Inglourious Bastards like Brad Pitt did. There's not a lot of guys who would do that. They would just be like, you know, this is who I am. Like they always stay in shape.
They would do what Ryan Gosling does and just make kind of bullshit mainstream movies.
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Ryan
you
Gosling.
said
I'm sorry.
Reynolds.
I meant Ryan
that. No,
Reynolds.
I meant Ryan Gosling.
What?
You put him on that level with Brad Pitt and George Clooney?
No, I'm not saying he's on their level. I'm saying Ryan Gosling. So like, there's a movie called Lars and the Real Girl,
yeah.
where he falls in love with a sex doll, and it sounds insane, but when you watch it, it's not about that. It's about like social anxiety and all that. When you watch that movie, he has like a fucking ratty mustache. He's really fucking weird, and it's like, hold up, this is the guy who was in The Notebook. This is the guy that Hollywood wanted to be.
Yeah.
And he chose, look, I'm not doing it. Half Nelson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Where he's a crack addict teacher who really
yeah.
cares about his students. His flaw is he's addicted to drugs.
He's actually really good in Crazy Stupid Love. Crazy
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Even movies like what's the movie about the housing crisis?
Oh, The Big Short.
The Big Short.
The Big Short. Yeah.
You know, in that, like where he had like the black hair and all that, and he's like the neurotic, like fucking
foul
guy.
mouth kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean,
He was fucking great in Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, Blue Valentine, something like that, where he
Blue
like grows a
Valentine is-
paunch and like
Yeah, he got fat for that movie.
yeah.
And bald. He like shaved himself bald. Like I think he's not in a lot. The way he was committed to his role in La La Land, how he learned how to play piano that fucking well. Yeah.
So you think he does bullshit mainstream stuff?
No, I was just hating.
Okay.
He loves Ryan.
Oh my
Love Ryan
god.
Gosling. You know, it's funny. I disliked Ryan Gosling before I saw Drive because all I knew him from was from The Notebook.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the career choices he's made. So I go Ryan Gosling too.
Yeah. I agree.
It's my guy.
Okay, and then I guess the last one I will do. This could be seen as a battle of producers, but I'm going to just say album to album. No, but in terms of production specifically,
Okay.
The Chronic or Enter the Wu-Tang.
Production only.
Production only.
It's always a good question as it gets quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I think The Chronic's a better album. And it definitely did like drive home the West Coast sound, but it was already there. It's not like it was like the advent of it. And so the Wu-Tang, it was a new sound.
Yeah.
It's very rough, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It almost is like you're watching videos, movies that your cool uncle gave you on VHS tapes that he recorded because your uncle lives alone, and for whatever reason, he has the cable channels that nobody had back in the day. He has HBO,
Yeah.
and you don't, because your mom said, we're not paying for that. And so he's like, nah, you've never seen this movie. So he records it for you, and you watch it. And it's great, even though the quality's fucking terrible
Yeah.
because it's on a VHS tape. But it's still art. And that's what, like, Enter the Wu-Tang reminds me of. It's so rough, and it sounds like it's sometimes at points undone. But it's supposed to be that way. Like some of the cuts of like the audio from like the martial arts flicks, it sounds like it's not supposed to be there, but it is there.
Yeah. I can only say
I'm
that.
gonna go off like as a person who aspires to rap and has rapped over a fair amount of beats. I'd prefer to rap over the Wu-Tang beats. I enjoy those more. The Dr. Dre beats, they're kind of like for the artist that he put on them.
Yeah.
They're for the West Coast artists. They're great. The G-Funk basically is what he invented there. Sample heavy like crazy. Like you hear like 5 songs in one song.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not even like samples. It's just like whole rips put in there. It's very cinematic. You know, they'll literally stop for like a skit and then the song comes back in. I think there's a song called like A Boy with a Gun that's like that. I just like the haunting roughness of Enter the Wu-Tang more. It's a sound that RZA invented and no one else has like pretty much done because it's like he can only do it.
Yeah.
There have been Dre impersonators. Now, granted, they've never done it to the level of Dre, but there have been people who've done it, and some people have done a serviceable job of it. It's not like Dre's the only one to do the West Coast sound since. Dre has not produced every single West Coast album that's come out.
Yeah.
And there's people who have dropped good West Coast albums without Dre. But yeah, Wu-Tang sound is unique to them, and only Wu-Tang can do it. And yeah, some of them beats are just like, wow. And it almost sounds like he made that like what a fucking like a 4-track and like vinyl records. And yeah, I'm gonna go Wu-Tang production wise.
I'm going to link it back to the very beginning. Or no, wait, I think you did one before. No, okay. Very beginning, the 90s versus 2000s thing. Personally, just my personal taste, I go to the 90s, and in fact, I go like 91 to 96.
Okay.
Wu-Tang, 5 solo albums. I love that sound. I'm with you all the way on that. That dusty, like I talk about noir. It's like noir hip hop. And then that extends to like Tribe Called Quest is a little brighter.
Yeah.
But then like not Illmatic, the infamous Mobb Deep, like that sound, that New York hip hop sound from the early 90s.
Early Outkast.
Early Outkast, yeah.
Yeah, like the Dungeon Family.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
So that's
Farside has some good shit.
yeah, I've never listened to any of their
Yeah,
stuff.
they got some like really good produced shit.
yeah.
3-6.
Oh, so that's actually, I was gonna say the only person that I've heard that comes close to what the RZA was doing is DJ Paul back in the day. I love really early 90s, like yeah, like I forget when it starts, like some of their most early stuff that sounds like the roughest, but I love the sound of that. I love how rough it is to like whatever was chapter 1, the end there, the 666 album, like that, like Mystic Styles right in the middle of it, all the mixtapes they did kind of with each other back and forth, DJ Paul producing most of it. That's some of my favorite shit.
You know, it's
too.
kind of funny. When I've always like thought about like I try to like link sounds to like visuals, and like Wu-Tang sounds like almost like you're watching like those early Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, like how they make New York look,
right,
where it's like steamy. Like,
Yeah.
why is there so much fucking steam? You know, it's like dark. It kind of seems like even though you're in New York, it's for a reason it seems like really dry. Like it's just like why it's just buildings, it's
Yeah.
concrete, and it's night. And I always felt like that's how their sound sounded. And in reverse, I always felt like 3 6 Mafia sounded like underground,
yeah,
like literally underground. Like
oh yeah,
like people doing like revolting in the sewers. It sounds wet.
Yeah.
It sounds muddy. It sounds swampy, very moist. or like it has like a thickness over it.
Yeah.
That you hear the crackle in the Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Like the vinyl records playing. Like you don't hear that in the South version of it. But yeah, that probably is like the closest.
Yeah.
I do want to say, as a side note, the Turtles movie, banger too.
Yeah.
Banger as well. Where do the Fugees fall in the 90s?
96 was the
mid-90s.
score.
The score, a banger.
Yeah.
Banger of an album.
Great album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely different in between all that, but definitely great album.
All right, so you brought it full circle.
That's it.
Full circle,
That's
yeah.
it.
So full circle. Shout out to my dogs.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. This is the first of many. This show will probably be like a monthly because I don't put too much on my plate. I rap. I'm trying to do like a little clothing line too now. So but I wanted to start it with my guys. It only felt right that way. So guys, thanks for coming on. These were some really fucking good questions. I think the people what I like about this too is then the listeners can pick. I'm probably gonna type these up and then put them like up on the Instagram.
Nice.
So that people can see it. So if you guys can actually like send me that. Normally when I have guests on, I ask them to plug what they're doing because normally I try to have people on who are like doing the same things as me. My boy Brian got to get married, so that's his plug.
Man, I'm about to start a GoFundMe for my wedding. Drawing is expensive.
Yeah. On Mac, one day we're gonna get some movie out of him.
Oh yeah.
Short film or something. Maybe you'll direct the music video for me.
I
Yeah.
tell you guys are going to collaborate. You guys are going to get an EGOT together.
That'd
Hit
be
all the
awesome.
major awards.
That'd be awesome. But yeah, so from me to you, from the guests, from my host, from my guests to my listeners, this is Reynard versus the World. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you back here another time.